So just like everyone else, I grew up watching College GameDay religiously. Waking up as a kid on a cool fall Saturday morning with an entire weekend of football ahead of you, life didn't get much better. But in recent years, College GameDay has been making changes and people are starting to take notice. And that by itself isn't totally unusual. GameDay has evolved many times since its first live show all the way back in 1993 for the massive matchup between Notre Dame and Florida State. But it seems like the recent changes they've been making have been very polarizing. And really a lot of things could be to blame for this, whether it's ESPN's recent layoffs, rising competition, cast of aging stars, or something else. And I mean, yeah, sure, all that stuff hasn't helped the show, but can we all agree that the biggest recent change has been Pat Mcafee? And hear me out, I'm really not a Pat Mcafee hater. I think his rise over the past few years has been really impressive and frankly deserved. Whether you love him or you hate him, the guy has amassed a huge audience by being unapologetically himself in kind of a barstool sportsy kind of way, which evidently is kind of where he got his start. And if you want to call that bro culture, yeah, you're kind of right, but he can be really funny sometimes and definitely brings a lot of energy to any platform he's on. But the question that needs to be answered is, does it work for College GameDay? And that's yet to be seen. And it's hard because the cast of GameDay has been a literal chef's kiss for the past decade. They've been to college football what the TNT cast has been to the NBA. Everyone up there complimented each other so well, and at least up until this point, been a little clunky blending Mcafee into the mix. And what I loved about the College GameDay cast of my childhood was I could tell everyone on that panel lived and breathed college football. And really no one embodied that love for the sport more than David Pollock. You know, every time he spoke, you could really feel that passion that he had for the college game. And frankly, I think that went for all the co-hosts. I don't think there are any better ambassadors for the college sport than Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Corso, and Reese Davis. And for me personally, growing up in a place where college football was the pinnacle of the sports world because we didn't have an NFL team locally, it meant a lot to watch those guys on Saturday morning bringing the small school that I rooted for to the national spotlight. And so far, bringing on Pat Mcafee, I just don't feel that same genuine love and passion for college football specifically, which was evident when he called out Washington State on the show a few weeks ago. And I actually don't have a problem with him calling out the head coach specifically because it actually was a misunderstanding on the part of Jake Dickert. He mistakenly interpreted Lee Corso's joke as the No One Watches Bowl, when actually what he said was the No One Wants Us Bowl, obviously referring to Washington State and Oregon State being left out of the Power 5 conference for the time being, which honestly brings up another problem with the show that we'll get into later. But in his attempt to call out the Cougs for making a stink about a joke, he tried to bring into question the loyalty and dedication of the Washington State fan base.
Washington State. Were you guys showing this flag when they were 1-11 in 2009?
We were.
How about 2-10 in 2010? You were? Yeah. That's wild.
Which anyone who has watched College GameDay for any amount of time knows the Washington State flag has flown high and proud, rain or shine, for decades now. Through all the ups and downs of that specific program, the only constant was seeing that Washington State flag being flown every Saturday morning. And Pat not knowing that kind of let the cat out of the bag that he's an NFL guy first and a College GameDay fan second, third, or who knows. But now back to the actual Lee Corso joke. It's kind of understandable that you could misinterpret Lee Corso's words on that episode.
In the Nobody Wants This Bowl, nobody wants it, poor guys. Washington State.
It's been pretty hard to watch Corso the past few years, and really it's such a difficult situation given the fact that Corso has been on the show since day one, and he also brings objectively the most iconic aspect to the show, picking the game of the week with the mascot's head. And no question, replacing him is going to be a monumental task, but I do think it's time for Corso to hang it up and enjoy retirement. But with that being said, I think a lot of the reason ESPN brought Mcafee on the show in the first place was to get a little younger and bring in a new wave of college football fans. And honestly, I think he does that. Now, in no way am I trying to imply that College GameDay is tanking. Although the competition has been fierce, the ratings have been great for them through the start of the season. And there could be other factors involved there, but it kind of feels like Pat Mcafee is almost the Joe Rogan of the sports world. He's known for being unfiltered, polarizing, and a little controversial at times, but no doubt wildly popular and hugely successful at what he does. So do I think Pat that has ruined game day? No, not really. It's definitely changing, which is inevitable. I think the transition that College Game Day is going through is going to take time and more changes are going to come. All I hope for is that we never lose the core part of what makes College Game Day so great. Celebrating student athletes, sharing unique local traditions, telling new inspiring stories, and getting us up in the morning for more football filled weekends. But maybe just cut it to 2 hours. That's all for this video. Peace.